Hello, good morning. Good morning, everybody. I'm Richard Wee. Welcome to RWC Community Webinar, The Rise of Sports Technology. We are live now on RWC Facebook page. Together with me, I have three esteemed speakers, gentlemen who are heavily involved in sports industry. One small comment, it is not intentional not to have ladies talking on this topic. It is entirely a responsibility on RWC. We wanted to invite speakers who are comfortable in this area, and it just happened that all our speakers are gentlemen. So I think that to me, of course, being inclusive, we should always try to invite people of all areas to be our speakers. So welcome aboard, Jasni, Sheyong. Hi, we lost Tuven for a while. I'm going to bring him back in. Hi, Tuven, you're back in.
Yep, sorry.
Hey, no worries. So let me just set the background while waiting for more people to come in. It's 11 o'clock in the morning. Some people may have just woken up. This talk will be live on Facebook for the next 1.5 hours. It's a continuing series by RWC Community Webinar. We've been doing it since last year. One thing about the lockdown, I think Jasni and I were just talking about it. We end up doing all this kind of stuff and doing talks and all that. Today's topic is about the rise of sports technology. We have seen how technology seeped into sports, like for VAR for football, or even assisted referee on for tennis games. Yeah? And we have seen how apps are used extensively for sports. Data are collected from sports athletes. And today we even have a very interesting speaker from Genomas who will be speaking about gene editing and how it's going to be used in sports. We have a speaker whose business is about an app, where the app captures data and collate information about running and timing. And then we have another gentleman speaker whose business is all about sports. So this gentleman basically is about sports events and sports business. So we've got three really good speakers here today. So without further ado, I would like to first invite each speaker to say hello, what they're doing, the kind of areas of business they're in. Then once we go into the topic, we've got a few set of issues to discuss. Then we will go down the table and discuss. So I'm pleased to first invite Jasni. How are you, bro? How's everything there on your side?
Thank you, Richard. Thank you for the invite. Thank you,
all yours, Jasni.
as well. And good morning, everyone. Good morning, fellow panelists. I think it's a privilege to be here today and to share thoughts about sports technology in Malaysia. Just a quick one. Richard wanted me to say about myself. I started out as an investment banker the first 3 years of my working life, and then that was over 20 years ago. And then pivoted into sports, and eventually started this sports advisory company called Sportswork about 20 years ago. We do advisory on commercialization of assets. We do advisory on sports government policy. We do advisory on project management of events. The biggest one we did was the KL 2017. So I've also been involved in 3 startups in the areas of media, sport, and technology, mobile technology in this sense. Okay, that's just about it.
Cool, man, Jasni. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're hearing the drilling voice, that is not the deep drilling voice of Jasni. It is my neighbor drilling the house. I know Jasni was doing
what a good timing.
I can hear Jasni doing his cool deep voice. But then at the back, so it's actually my neighbor tengah drilling. Yeah. So there you go. What a way to start the morning. Good on you, Jasni. Lost to the bank, but huge benefit to sports. I can say that. Nice to have you on board. Can I invite Sheyong? Sheyong, all yours. A bit about yourself, please.
Sure. Thanks, Richard, and thanks everyone from joining us this morning. My name is Sheyong. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Biib. So, a little bit about my personal background. I'm an athlete since primary school. Has been involved myself in track and field, sprinters, short distance running, and then moving into like basketball in the high school, and then later on then only I get poisoned into distance running in the university by a few of my friends. My career actually not I would say 100% not in sports. So my career is actually in electronic engineering and focusing on sensing, and that is when I get my hands on GPS technology, sensors and things like that, which can somehow cross path with my distance running interest when I was staying in South Korea. And then that time I was
Oh,
observing the sports trend, the grassroots communities running group, and the distance running experience in the event over there. And yeah, that's basically my early career before founding Biib.
I'm just surprised, Sheyong, you didn't call your app Blackpink or something like that, but never mind. Yeah. So welcome back from Korea, and yeah, interesting story. We're going to go in more detail about Biib because Biib is a leading local app. I think you're going to go international soon. Very exciting to see what's happening with
Thank you, Richard.
Yeah. So Thuvendran, hi Thuvendran. Thuvendran is now based in Ipoh at the moment. Thank you for joining us from Ipoh, Thuvendran. And
Thank
maybe
you.
let's talk about yourself as so who is this handsome gentleman hanging around Ipoh? All yours, Tuvan.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you for the compliment, and good morning, guys. Good morning. And also thank you for having me. Well, Richard, he wanted us to actually briefly intro ourselves, and here it is. Well, currently I'm actually attached to Genomas. So before I got into Genomas, I was in the oil and gas industry, and I was there for 2 years, and then I got into a research and technology consultation firm, in which we start consulting on technology commercialization and technology development. And that is when we actually got into, myself, I got into sports technology, where we worked with WHO, for example, to develop a diabetic assessment protocol. And also we worked with ISN to develop customized insole, 3D customized insole, the first one in the whole country. And we also work a few background projects in which I've worked from a technical capacity, and using my technical capacity, and also later part I got into finance. So that's how I actually got incorporated into Genomas, and I've been in Genomas for the past 1.5 years. So I'm actually currently holding the corporate strategy role, but also looking into technical operations. So so from oil and gas into technology consulting. My previous firm, I was also doing business consulting. Why? Because it was more into my analytical ability. It was not into a specific academic discourse. And the same ability I'm trying to help in the case of sport technology for Genomas. So that's about it, Richard.
Brilliant. Well, I'm quite sure there's a lot of questions to ask to you, yeah. Especially gene editing in sport. I can now say this to one that one of my concern about playing around with genes, and I'm not talking about the genes you wear to go out, or the blue color one. This is your DNA, right? If you play around with the genes in sports, I think Jasni will know what I'm going to say here. Is it doping? Is it doping?
Yeah.
There's issue, but we will discuss that. We'll discuss that, yeah. Because I think this technology is something we must explore. Okay, so the topic here today, you heard the speakers. Thank you so much for introducing yourself. As you can hear, they are from a really wide-ranging, diversified backgrounds, and together we are going to try and discuss this topic today, which is about the rise of sports technology. Now, Justin, maybe we can just inquire more about your company now, Sportswork. Maybe you could share with us what is Sportswork actually. What do you do? You mentioned that you gave a hint a little bit about the SEA Games just now. Maybe you can share with us a little bit more about Sportswork.
Sure. We call ourselves a sports advisory company, whereby we, like I mentioned before, we focus on 4 main things, which is number one, we do a lot of commercialization work. And what that entails basically is whatever asset that the rights holders have, we help them raise funds from it. One of the usual buzzwords you hear is sponsorship. But sponsorship is just one part of it. So we've been involved in over 300 million ringgit worth of deals into sport the last 20 years. And that's with really not actively selling, but passively selling, because we prefer to work from the strategy side and then see how we move from there to raise money for our clients. So number two, we work on the government side in terms of policy. We've done grassroots programs or grassroots plans for KBS, namely in football and cycling. Thirdly, we, as I mentioned, we do project management of events. This is how I would say the difference between event management and project management of events is we take a higher, more umbrella-like approach to the event, and we take in every aspect. So when you do event management, it's just one part of that event management. There's also the other parts of
so it's like sponsorship, everything lah. You're in all in one.
Yes, as well as the field of play and everything else. Can you imagine running the Kuala Lumpur SEA Games? We were managing over close to 1,000 variables, close to 1,000 deliverables, and measuring it every day over a 30-month period. And we were the only ones who could tell the YBKJ at the time at what percentage we are and how much delayed and how much how we're moving. So we had a very close view on the ground of what's happening. And the fourth area basically is in terms of we do look out for how do you say investments out there and to be a part of. So we do that. So these are the four main areas. Over the years, it has evolved. It evolved from what we started as a sports marketing company. Then it evolved. So that's what we do basically.
Justly, I can say that when I started getting involved in this area, your company was always among the first I hear. And I remember meeting a gentleman by the name of Nicholas.
Yes.
Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah, so it was that's how far back I heard about Sportswork. So well done on your evolution and your development. Really
thank you very
good
much.
to see a Malaysian-made company or Malaysian-based company develop. Well done. Yeah,
and it's also great to see Richard, all of us in various aspects of the sporting industry coming up, being pioneers. I think that's brilliant, as opposed to when we started about 20 years ago, including yourselves, including everyone here on the panel and everyone listening. There are all sorts of companies in various segments of the industry mushrooming. It's amazing.
Yeah, I would say that sports is definitely no more a hobby. It's becoming an industry very professionally done. So I do hope that eventually one day the government will accept sports as a proper industry within the Ministry of Trade, which is something I think all of us have been fighting, Justin. I think you're aware of that also,
yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And the fact that Sportstech, we're talking about Sportstech today, that this is the future. This is the next era we're going into in sports.
Betul. 100% setuju. So moving from there, thanks, Justin. Good setup. At least we've set the tone of what kind of work that we are involved in. Now, what about you, Sheyong? I've heard a lot about Biib. I constantly hear this name Biib among my friends who are runners. Those days I thought they're talking about the football Biib or the dead ball Biib or something like that. Then I realized it's an app. So can you share a little bit more about maybe the story, how you came about? As you know, all startups got very interesting stories. So maybe you can share a little bit about that and what are you doing, etc., etc.
Yeah. So when I share about my background, I'm actually from like team sports, which is basketball side, and then move into distance running, which is more individual. So in Biib, we basically wanted to bring the best of both worlds, the team sports and the inclusive running or individual distance running, into something different to actually create a better, brighter, and even more collaborative world. So, sometimes you want people to get together, play a sports. It will be quite hard because, some of them, they know how to play. Some of them do not have the skills, do not have the equipment and things like that. So in Biib, we basically create a new types of running competition by turning this so-called inclusive physical activities such as running, hiking, walking into a team sports. So imagine running is always so individual. Walking is always about yourself, you walking, around somewhere. But we actually create this new competition format, I call it, or running league, that allows people to join, to host, and create engagement among their communities. So like allowing everybody to be able to represent their teams, their school, their club, their companies, and things like that. So currently, Biib, we are serving 3 different markets, Malaysia, Singapore, and Taiwan, by connecting more than 2,000 teams and communities with clients coming from like global or Forbes 500 companies using our system and the gameplay that we created for them. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant, man. Brilliant. Then you should be engaging Justy to do your stuff. Justy is the
I hope I can afford.
yeah, he is the door for the international market, But I'm going to come back to Justy later. He's going to share with us what is Sportstech and the global perception of Sportstech. So let him give the big picture. Then we come to the two of you to give your discussion about your technology, Then we can develop dialogue from there, right? Well done, Sheyong. Taiwan, huh? Okay, man. Maybe you should put some Thai word and go Thailand as well, So, okay. Sawadee Cup app or something like that. I don't know. I'm just. I think the Thai people will be upset with me for stereotyping them. Okay. Anyway, Tuan, a bit about Genomas. From one glance, people may think it's a gold company selling gold or something like that. The word mass is there, but we all know that it's not. So, all yours, Tuan, share a bit about what is Genomas and what you're doing. All yours.
Sure. Okay. Genomas was actually created a year and a half back, like what I told earlier. And it is actually a privately owned company, but with government affiliation. So what I mean by government affiliation, there is a minority shareholdership by the government in the form of National Sports Institute. And as you can see, there are two main objectives, two separate objectives, depending on who the shareholders are. And for National Sports Institute, it is basically to first to diversify its revenue, and secondly, it is also to introduce genetic testing into athlete profiling. And in our case, it is to test how differently we can actually functionally test and functionally apply genetic testing into different industries, many different industries, not just sports technology, but also into medical diagnostics, but also into consumer genetics. So currently, Genomas, we actually have two different business models. One is we do direct-to-customer genetic testing, so in which we offer them a customized genetic profiling services based on requirements. And this is actually fed into app, and the app will be a one-stop marketplace in which they can actually correspond with for example, supplementary medicines providers, or for example, genetic consultants. So, and at the top of it, they can actually access the data in a secured platform, and at the same time, they can require even more information regarding their health. That is number one. Yeah. Number two, our business model is aimed towards functional genetics. What I mean by functional genetics is it is a kind in which you can make informed decisions. So this is where athlete profiling is coming into play. Like earlier, Richard, you were telling about gene editing. Gene editing, yes, it exists, but it is, I will say, another one generation or two generation further ahead, because there are a lot of ethical issues that are involved in that. But what we are basically doing right now is we are profiling athletes based on their predisposition towards a certain sports. Predisposition towards a certain sports, meaning that we are mapping their body's ability, the molecular ability, the regenerative ability, and profiling them based on what sports fit them the best. That's number one. And secondly, for example, in the case of national junior athletes, we'll be able to give a segregated training plan if we at all we coordinate with, for example, the sports professionals, and we'll be able to give a specified training plan which can bring out high performance, a better performance from the athletes. That's number two. And number third is in the field of nutrigenomics. For example, you're providing nutrition to the athletes, recovery plan.
Yes.
Okay, what they can get, what they can take in, what kind of supplements will optimize the performance better. So all this information will be provided beforehand through genetic testing.
Well, you know what? I
So-
think, Tuan, I must introduce you to my football club, Everton Football Club. Lah. My Everton Football Club, half the team is injured and forever need recovery. I must introduce you to them. Lah. Yeah. Yeah. Go on, Tuan. Yeah, finish it.
Yeah, that's one example where, for example, we'll be able to find out what is the rate of muscle recovery, okay, for a person, for a typical person, based on the genetic sequence, and endurance versus power sports. That's another one.
I see.
And yeah, so when it comes to genetic testing to sports, it is not like readily available for you to straight away put into practice. There are already a template already into practice, but it is also a continuous evolution, because we have to continuously find out which genetic markers which will be applicable towards sports science. And this will be a continuous process in which we'll embark together with the National Sports Institute and as well as the Malaysian Genomic Institute. This is just on the part of Sportstech, in which we are
very technical, Thuvendran. And then I can notice, I'm sure the other speakers will agree with me, not just technology, but it's also scientific and also heavily involved in DNA, the study of DNA. So excellent. Well done. I think we're going to have a very interesting discussion later. All right. Okay. So thank you for that, Tuvan. So moving on, ladies and gentlemen, we can see now the three speakers, what they're doing, their background, and more importantly, what their company and their businesses of sports are involved in. We see Sheyong talking about how his app connect people together. You heard Thuvendran's very technical, what do you call this, breakdown of what a company do in Genomas. And then now I'm going to invite Jasni, who's, if you follow Jasni's Twitter, he's been heavily tweeting about the need for embracement of sports technology. And I want to invite Jasni to maybe give his views for the next few minutes, what he see about sports technology. What is sports technology, Jasni? In your view, what is sports tech? And where do we go from here? You know, why this global interest in sports tech? All yours, Jasni.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to start by talking more about the investments by private equities and venture capitalists. I think from there you can see PE and VC investments in sport in general, yeah. And from there you can see the evolution of how sports tech came about. So around the turn of the century, around the turn of the millennium, a lot of the PEs and VCs were investing in companies that were holding rights. Yeah. So they were investing. They bought out companies like IMG. They bought out the Formula One itself. In fact, Formula One was bought and sold twice. Now, and then around 2008, you saw VCs and PEs started to invest more into the rights holders themselves. Yeah, meaning you would hear news about SoftBank going to FIFA and putting a bid for, I think, over $2 billion so that SoftBank can have the commercial rights to the FIFA World Cup plus some new events under FIFA. That's still on the table. Yeah, it's not being agreed yet. And you also hear last year how I think Silver Lake, or was it CVC, put in a bid to the New Zealand All Blacks to buy off the commercial rights for $300 million.
Oh, I saw that. That was a big one. Yeah.
That's a big one. And in rugby, and there's been some protest. There's been some protest by the players themselves. They're the purists. So you can see it evolve. And then around 5 to 10 years ago, PEs and VCs started investing into tech, sports tech, and that's not surprising at all. The whole reason why that came about is because of this, and because of the hardware we're using right now for our webinar. So because of the availability of mobile and the fact that a lot of apps can be created, it basically opened up space for sports tech to enter into the wellness arena. Yeah. So what you can see in terms of what Sheyong is doing, major respect for what you're doing, man. What Sheyong's doing with Biib it would not have happened without this. Yeah. So in effect, taking a sporting activity and digitalizing it and then seeing what kind of response, but and what Sheyong is doing is amazing in terms of creating what in the future, having a virtual SEA Games, for example. I think that's what Sheyong's objective is one day, or having a virtual Olympics one day where they're actual winners. That's amazing. So it opens up the space for the masses to come in and for more people to participate in sports in a very big way. Yeah? So that happened around 2014, 5 to 10 years ago, and you can see. So that's the pattern for the investments. Now, the sports tech market is expected to be around, I think what I read was 45 billion by 2027. Yeah, that's huge. US huge. 45 billion.
Yeah.
And they're growing at CAGR of more than 20% a year annually now. It's amazing. And then you draw parallels in terms of venture funds in Southeast Asia alone, just venture funds in total, not in Sportstech. It was about 12.6 billion in 2018. First quarter this year alone was 6 billion US. So you can see the growth of in Southeast Asia venture capital funds in total. So you can I think it's on the rise. It's the new thing, yeah. And as soon as the sport itself adopts the tech, and then it shifts to the masses in terms of its usage, and it goes global when you scale up, I think the potential is huge.
Yeah. And
the other thing,
go on.
That's in terms of why I feel how Sportstech came about, the evolution of it, of the investments. Now then, when we look forward into how do you define Sportstech? What are the areas of Sportstech? Now, Comcast has a very interesting definition of Sportstech. They break it into eight categories. Yeah, one is fan engagement, 2 is athlete performance, 3 is coaching, analytics, or whatever you call it. 4th is venue, stadium aspects of it. 5th is broadcast, esport, sports betting and fantasy leagues. And then the 8th one is my type of business, which is on the sponsorship. You see today there are apps, or there are AI related apps in terms of selling sponsorship, where they match the rights holder to the potential sponsors. You also have that nowadays. So it's moving to that era. Man, it's amazing. It's amazing. Even and I also find it very interesting what Thuvendran was saying about what Genomas is doing as well. See, even I'm pretty sure, of course, Thuvendran, correct me if I'm wrong, So what you're doing is mapping all these genes of all these athletes. So it depends on the amount of data. So the more the data, the more precise it is. And then I'm sure you'll be using AI to then spot patterns, whereby then you can tell with the right critical mass of data, you can then tell someone who is 10 years old today whether he or she will be on the podium at the Olympics in 2032.
Yeah.
Because you can work backwards to the current champions, and what was their makeup and the like. So I think it's just mind blowing. It's just mind blowing. Now you mentioned that, Richard, about the playing with the genes and whether it is considered the new drug.
Doping, yeah.
The new doping, in a sense.
Yeah.
But we can't help it. That's where the science is taking us, because we're trying to be a better athlete, a better performing athlete in a sense. So we're doing whatever we can to maximize every single small
potential.
Percentage increase, every single potential. So it's amazing. So that's that. So Comcast has got 8 categories. My own personal opinion of things, being in Malaysia, being Malaysian, being in Malaysia, I think we shouldn't follow Silicon Valley so much, because Silicon Valley has got its has got its organic advantages, it's got its competitive advantages. We should work on our competitive advantage. I think our sports technology definition should be sport plus technology plus wellness. I think it should be these three areas. Why? Simply because we have natural resources and we have our biodiversity. And we have our flora and fauna. Now, you mentioned Everton, Richard. On the flora and fauna, your
Never do well.
No. Yeah, but it's there. It's coming. Robson Kanu. You remember Robson Kanu?
Yeah.
He used to play for Everton, right? Now,
Robson Kanu, no, he didn't. He didn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Wrong
he was
guy.
in WBA. I think it's WBA. Yeah.
WBA. That's right. So Robson Kanu in 2018 started a company called the Turmeric Company. Okay.
Oh yes,
This was
I
in the
read about
UK.
that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So he started it in 2018. Today is the biggest supply of turmeric, I think, drink and pill in the UK. Okay. So because of his EPL contacts and his Welsh, he started plugging it to the professional rugby clubs, professional EPL clubs. Everton took him on 2 weeks ago, I think about a month ago.
Yes, I remember the turmeric. Yeah, Everton bought it.
Yeah. The turmeric company. Now that came from his own personal experience. He was growing up. He had a lot of injuries. He tried all kinds of medications, including alternative medicine. He came across turmeric. So he was saying that his family was boiling it in his own house, drinking it natural for anti-inflammatory. Yeah? Turmeric is for anti-inflammatory. So you think about it. Turmeric, man, we eat ayam goreng with turmeric.
Turmeric is kunyit for us, yeah.
It's in our life.
Goreng ikan with turmeric. But we take it for granted, in fact. Yeah. But the West, who follow the alternative medicine, are looking at these things. So I think it's very interesting that YB Khairi Jamaluddin mentioned a couple of weeks ago about when he was in Japan in the conference, he was talking about coming out of COVID. The health ministry should actually look at more of the before you get sick side of things, more of the active lifestyle instead of looking
Prevention.
at
prevention. Yes,
prevention
correct,
rather than cure. Yeah, and he also mentioned an interesting piece. I don't know whether you read it. He mentioned an interesting piece about we should also look at TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, and the likes.
He did.
Yeah, and do heavy research on that, and because it's our flora and fauna. It's in our backyard. Silicon Valley can't do it because they don't have it. Yeah. So and this is not also talking about the natural resources we have in terms of tin, palm oil, rubber, and petroleum and gas. Yeah, petroleum and gas is used to make this. Yeah. So we have all those in the country. It's just, I think, a concerted effort right now by all the stakeholders, including led by the government, to set the direction of where we go with Sportstech. And I think Sportstech for Malaysia, that's why I'm a big proponent of it, is the next big thing for Malaysia. And we have rubber, and we're not the biggest producer of any of the sports equipment balls out there. We're not. Yeah, we're just the biggest producer of gloves.
Rubber. Gloves.
Which is gloves, yeah. Yeah. When I think we should be the biggest producer of footballs, cricket balls, anything that's round and bouncy that has rubber in it.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So that's where I think in terms of definition. So I talked a bit about how it evolved in terms of the funding and how important it is and how it's growing. Number two, the definition of it. So to answer your question, I think today we should be moving in that direction in a big way. And I commend what ISN is doing with the sports technology side, working with Meranti, working with Futurize.
Yeah.
Many
people don't realize, Justin, that in the Act of Parliament for Acta ISN 2011, ISN is empowered under parliamentary law that they can get involved in innovation. And in my research on ISN, when the Act of Parliament was debated in Parliament in 2011, then we go to the Hansard, the Nota Parliament. The member of parliaments at the time mentioned the word technology. This is 10 years ago, Justin. They actually used the word technology, Sukan. Yeah. So that is why ISN, I think they're consistent with the intention and purpose of Parliament, which is to empower ISN into innovation and technology. So
that's where you have to. that's where you have to commend people like Dato' Ramlan. Dato' Ramlan set the stage for that, set the platform for that today, of what Encik Faisal and the current team is benefiting from. He basically said he had the foresight and the belief,
the vision at
fighting
the time,
fighting against the grain at the time.
At the time,
so,
10 years ago.
Correct, but he had the support of Dato' Shabrici. Dato' Shabrici at the time, who was the Minister of Youth and Sport, was also forward-looking in terms of the sports industry. So that's a bit of history.
There you go. Okay, but we can see where we're going to develop in the future. So, ladies and gentlemen, well said, Jasni. I think you set the tone for the next half an hour to 1 hour of discussion. So, ladies and gentlemen, so far we've heard, because now I'm going to go into micro discussion with Sheyong and Thuvendran about their respective companies and what they think about technology. So far, Jasni have set the tone about the global view of Sportstech, the business of it, the investment, the money. And then we've also heard from all three speakers about what the companies are doing. And you can see a trend among all three of them that their companies with strong sports character, they are trying to evolve. All three companies are always looking at new things to develop in sports, to make sports better. And of course, I think we will all agree we want Malaysia sports to be strong. And that's why we're doing this for Malaysia, right? Now, thanks, Jasni. I'll come back to you because we have more questions about investment and maybe looking at what the stakeholders like you can do to develop sports. Sheyong, I'm going to come to you again. So you explained to us about Biib. Maybe you can share with us a little bit more detail how Biib works and how technology, other areas of technology has come in to help Biib. So I found your app here. Well, actually, I have your app on your phone, but I found it on the phone. So anybody want to download, this is Biib, right? So please go and download it. Maybe you want to share with us a little bit more in detail, a bit more technical, but not too technical until Jasni and I don't understand. Because we are not the technical guys. We are the legal and the marketing side. All yours, Sheyong. All yours.
Yeah. Thanks, Richard. So perhaps let me just give an example of what we do in the past few years. So I always see Biib as more like making a change, like what Richard just said, making a change in the scene, in the sports industry or in the scene, by creating values. I think that is the most important part for any innovations, any inventions, or any technology that built for sports industry. So what we did is basically creating a new game system. I'm kind of proud of the things that we have started. It's actually all done through experiment. So in 2018, that is for the first time in Malaysia, we managed to connect majority of the running teams and running groups in the whole country together with our platforms. And that is basically like a first, it's a first time for everybody. It's first time for us, first time for other teams to know, oh, there's some other clubs in their state or in their own even daerah, district. There are so many different clubs and there are so many different communities all around. They gather together, run together, they celebrate their wins, training, sharing knowledge among them, how to run, how to practice, how to train together. So those are the things that we believe we somehow planted the seed into that. And, it's very happy to see when we have this type of game system whereby all these clubs and communities can create their own identity on the stage, they grew bigger and bigger. So I always remember there are so many clubs, they don't even have logos, they don't even have an identity. They just, let's come together, we give you a name. And then now all these clubs started without logo. That time we're helping them to touch up their logo and things like that. And now they become so big and they registered with the sports commissioner. So that is basically how we see ourselves in this ecosystem. We are, kind of like catalysts, having these platforms for everybody to use, they participate, and then they grow their communities. And that's what we see as a potential way of growing grassroots level sports. And like what Jasni said, into wellness, because government can't do everything. We want to actually plant the seed, allowing communities, empower them to, influence their friends, their families, their members around. to actually create that wellness, create that active lifestyle in the grassroots, in the bottom of the society, to allow this to grow further into the futures. Yeah, that's basically what we do by creating like a game. You can, I mean, this year we call it Run Liga Malaysia. It's like a league, but it's for running. Yeah, so that's basically what we do.
Interesting. So effectively, Sheyong, you are like a collaborator of community. You bring people together using apps, right?
Yes, you can say that. Yeah.
Hang on, let me. All right, can you hear me now, Sheyong?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I repeat. I unfortunately my Facebook popped up on my feed, so there was double voice. I repeat. You are a collaborator of a community. Your app brings people together, isn't it?
Yes, you're right. So not only running teams, but also different communities. Can be schools, can be within the school itself, different batches of alumni. For corporates, can be different departments and things like that.
But what kind of background app do you? I mean, without giving too much of your patents and your secrets, but the app, is it like do you use like the tracking app, or as you know, within the app, the technology behind it? So it's not just all about sports. There's a lot of electrical technology involved. How do you build it? Did you build it locally? Do you get expertise from abroad, or do you copy and get inspired by another app?
Oh, so basically, we know sports is all heavily integrated with different platform, different system, different provider, even all the way to the wearable devices. So our side, we always wanted to build what we want. Basically, like we have the vision, we wanted to get communities together, and there's no reference out there at the moment we started. So basically, we just need to experiment around, trying things. I mean, I'm sure a lot of runners, they actually remember, in our first year of getting so many teams together, our system crashed. I mean, it's a bad thing, but it's kind of like a lesson for us to learn, like how this thing will work out, and also the motivation for us to improve further, to actually cater the growth of the communities. So yes, we built it in-house. That time we have no reference, but we're working with all these wearable devices, platform like Google Fit, Apple Health, Garmin, Coros, all these wearable brands, to basically because they have the best tracking technologies. And we are more like you can imagine us like a stadium where everybody come here to compete.
Yeah.
So yeah, stadium in
Nice.
the internet. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. If you have a group of people who are participating, or you want to find a group of people to participate with you, go to Biib. You never know what will beep up on your phone. Yeah. So well said. I'll come back to you later, maybe, because I do want to ask you about
Sure.
how can we develop sports, your kind of sports tech more, because you're an app base, and as you know, there are many apps there. There's one more local, very famous app now is AFA, where they match booking courts and badminton court booking, etc. together. It's like a Uber for badminton courts and tennis courts, etc., etc. I also know there are apps dealing with nutritionists, keeping a tab on your running speed. There's even app on your heartbeat, which is of course not Malaysian made, it's a worldwide app. But I want to ask you more. So get ready later. Think about it. What can we do to make our app area for sports lebih besar? You have experts like Jasni around. Maybe they can also add value to what you're going to say. Thuven, now yours is the most intriguing one, because yours is science. Like for example, Sheyong's one, I go to the app store like, this app, this is Biib. So when you were talking just now, I can tell my face look like this. I'm like, wow, this is another level, another layer. Before we ask you a question, Thuven, what you are talking reminds me of Lance Armstrong, because of course it's not a good way, but when he was caught doing what he did, there were allegations that he was doing blood transfusion. Right? He was getting blood full of oxygen and pumping into himself, which of course now he has confessed. So I can speak freely without being sued for defamation.
Mhm.
But the point being is that I don't think you are doing that. You are actually looking at to harnessing and identifying our body genes, isn't that, Tuvan? Maybe you can expand more about what Genomas is doing, but without going to too technicality, because
Yeah, sure.
to that account, all yours, Tuvan.
Okay. Basically, when you look at how industry has progressed over the years, industry has actually gone from purely input-based. Input-based means what resources you put inside and what you get out, and then into output-based. What are the performance assessment based on? And based on that, we have moved from knowledge base, and now we are slowly moving into a digital base. It is still part of a knowledge, but it's more bifurcated. And if you look at Industry 4.0, the main element of it is cloud computing, big data. And when you go to Industry 5.0, we are looking more into AI application, the way you are interfacing between machines and also human programming. You're introducing more of human factor into machines. So that's exactly what Genomas is all about. Gene technology is all about. When you look at gene technology, there is so much of potential that is locked inside a human being, and we are basically unlocking it. And when we are taking the attempt towards unlocking the potential, it's like more like opening Pandora box. So everything is getting accelerated up. Like what you're saying about gene editing, possibility of gene editing, that is something is inevitable. It will happen sooner or rather, but when is it going to happen? So someone has to open a Pandora box. That's number one. And secondly, Mr. Jasni was talking about how Sportstech is evolving globally. I would like to actually share my opinion on that also.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah. One of the reasons why Sportstech is expanding globally is because of return on investment. Okay, it is actually the driving impetus is because of investment return, and in North America, this is quite rapid and quite extensive, which is why Sportstech has actually gained more prominent step. In fact, it has gained early momentum. But when it comes to Malaysia, we are slowly commercializing sports. We are slowly introducing value towards sports. Before this, when it comes to sponsorship, it's all about brand exposure. But now it is about making business out of it. Sports is becoming an industry. Humans are becoming the asset. When humans are becoming an asset, then there comes an added value for us to actually test these humans, which is an asset, to test how good they are, how good they can be, and how much they can offer towards the sports lucratively. So we are investing technology into the human capital asset. That's what gene testing is all about. And I was telling you about how Genomas is actually sitting in the brink. It's in the brink between Industry 4.0 and Industry 5.0. Like what Mr. Jasni said, yes, we have to actually accumulate the data in order for us to increase the precision of whatever we are saying. That's number one. Secondly, we have to identify more SNPs. What I mean by SNPs are specific gene markers in which can tell us specific information about a certain people, differentiators. So all these will require first cloud computing and second AI interface. And where we're going towards it is we are going towards an integrated data banking, genetic data banking, in which the Malaysian population will be able, we are able to pool the genetic information into one integrated system for the government to utilize for the benefit of the community. For example, in the case of precision medicine, precision medicine requires a lot of data pooling. It cannot start just from MOH, Ministry of Health. It has to come from, it has to be an all-encompassing effort. So this is where we also come in. It has to be an effort that reaches towards community. This is where our DTC business comes in. So when we look into it, we have to really encapsulate in all angles to make that the business does not die out, because nowadays businesses are very competitive. Businesses are going global. So we have to make sure we always have added advantage. And for that, I believe that Malaysia or Southeast Asia, for Sportstech to come up, it has to be properly incubated, and it has to thrive within the silo environment first. Because if you're actually going to go straight away for global competition, because like for example, in the case of Mr. Jasni said, we have rubber, but we're not producing the ball.
Yeah, good example.
Yeah, that's because if you look at monopoly, at who's actually monopolizing the industry, the footwear industry, it is actually the main 9 or 10 players. Because I'm actually in the footwear biomechanic group. I'm one of the 2 Asians who are actually inside it. It is only monopolized by 10 companies globally, and there are only 4 centralized labs in which all these testings are done, and they are controlling the ecosystem. For example, when it comes to ball, we talk about Adidas, Nike, and then we have also Puma coming up, but not really that stand out compared to Nike and Adidas. So we have to do something similar to it, but for us to do something similar to it, we have to bring industrialists into it to encourage. And I really like what Sheyong doing also, because even though industrialists are inside, you need awareness, you need the interest from the community, you need to grow the market, and I believe that's where Sheyong actually belongs to. He's actually growing the market in the base.
But Thuvendran, can I ask you this, right? What do you think are the limitations of the gene technology application in our sports industry? Before I move to Sheyong and Jasni, my last question for you now, for now. I'll come into more questions here. I repeat, what do you think are the limitations about gene editing or gene tech applications in Malaysian sports industry?
The first thing any investor will look at, costly. It is costly. Okay, it is costly because the capital injection for you to set up an infrastructure is such. But when you look at the long run returns, it is definitely worth it. That's number one. Second is precision. Where there are companies that are actually giving you a direct to customer services, genetic overseas companies. There are no Malaysian based companies that engage in community. But how true are their services? That is not verified. You need clinical verification for you to sell your services. But at the current state of scenario, there is no need for genetic testers to actually provide you the clinical verification or endorsement. They just test. They just say, okay, this is what it has.
I see.
But where we are headed to, we are actually working with MOH. We're actually currently collaborating with them to come up with a clinical test that can verify more tests as we go along.
See.
And that's what we're also going to do with ISN for athlete performance. So second limitation that we have is credibility of the tests. So before we get into endorsing a new test, SNPs, we need to verify them first. And that also is costly.
Oh, very technical your area.
Yes.
I want to just pick up. Sorry, wrap it up.
Yeah, sure. Number 3 is the regulation.
Yes.
Yeah, regulation. Regulation, because there is no specific or regulation on data protection for Malaysia.
At the moment, don't have. Yeah, I checked.
Yeah, it is just umbrella, which is under Data Protection Act, PDPA.
Which is insufficient for this.
Yes, insufficient. But industry has to actually take a concerted effort to actually come up with their own data regulation structure, in which Futurize and Genomas has been working on. Hopefully, we'll be able to actually make more progress over the next year.
Yes.
But what is the main concern regarding genetic testing as far as data protection is concerned? First is the identity of the people. Okay, that's normal. Second is, right now I'm actually testing your genetic data, for example, Richard. Okay, and I have whole of your genetic data, and your genetic data is going to be almost 80% the same as your cousin. So next question is going to be, how much of protection is he entitled to just because I own your data? You see, there is another person that is involved, even though the person did not actually give out the data. So this is a second problem in which we have to counter. And third problem is the discrimination using genetic data. For example, discrimination as in insurance. Insurance. But that is something that many countries have actually looked into, and they have come up with genetic. They have come up with a Genetic Non-Discrimination Act, And even United States in 2020, they just came up with a drafting of policy for integrated genetic policy for the country. That's US. But Malaysia, we already started talking about it, which is very good. But I really, really would hope that we are actually really pushing our effort to make sure that we're on par. Because at the end of the day, it depends on who are the pioneers, who are going to lead the industries.
You know, I remember this old movie called Gattaca, where I think Ethan Hawke was acting in that movie, and it was all about gene. And when he was born, the doctor said, "Oh, you will die at the age of 30 or 40." What a way to be told. Yeah, but yeah, I suppose this is about gene discrimination. Very interesting, very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to move to Sheyong for a while. Tuan, I assume you wrapped up your 3 points. Very well said.
Yep.
We heard about your basically we heard your aspiration. And we heard your limitations, what is going through to you. You know, Jasni, later on, I'm going to have a global question where you're going to lead it about what stakeholders can do. But before I come to you, I'm going to switch to Sheyong for a while now. Sheyong, I know you went through some, like, you know, now as you know, Thuvendran, ISN have their own so-called incubator now. ISN is now seen as the national incubator for sports startups, you know. And it's been recognized by the Ministry of Science, Technology and Industry mostly. So, you know, Sheyong, I know you would have gone through that. So maybe you could share with us your experience when you were developing your app. How was your, can I ask a question, the accelerator program that you went through, so that you can share this experience with all the other listeners here, then they can pick up a thing or two from you. All yours, Sheyong?
Sure. Thanks, Richard. Yeah, it is really great, you know, and happy to see ISN have this incubation at this moment. So, I mean, before this, representing Biib, I actually went into 2 accelerator programs, one in Australia, one in Taiwan, and also participate in the APAC Sports and City Forum in 2019. So basically, I would say our participation in all these different accelerator programs overseas has been, I would say, a very good experience, because first of all, you need to know the scene, the sport scene in Malaysia and the other country is totally different. Just like what Mr. Jasni said, we need to play by our age. We cannot actually fight with them in terms of pro sports. I mean, how many pro sports we have in Malaysia? You know, all this kind of thing. So of course, when we join this kind of program, we can actually, you know, experience different kind of innovations and solutions from different parts of the world. For example, if let's say athlete training and performance, fan engagement, smart stadiums, fantasy sports, and even recreational and wellness side. So there are so many things that being able to link to sports, like for example, drone. I mean, drone can be industry drone, but if you take a camera to do broadcasting, that can be in the sports industry. So we have seen so many different solutions out there. And the thing is, when we are outside, when we are in the accelerator program, there are a lot of things we can learn, and we actually can see the opportunity, because all these sports is being played around the world. For example, if you are playing hockey in, let's say, Australia or Pakistan, playing hockey in Malaysia is the same one, right? So if let's say there is a solution working there, there's a high potential that solution can be applied here in Malaysia as well. And likewise, if you invented something for, let's say, a Malaysian hockey team, there is a high chance you can export your solution to other teams. Because end of the day, like what Thuvendran say, we are investing to the human capital. Nobody want to lose in the game. So if let's say you have this technology to help them, you know, train better, prepare better to win the game, a lot more people want to adopt it. So it's very, very much like an eye-opener, like how sports industry can grow beyond. But of course, like what Mr. Jasni say, we cannot fight head-on without a proper strong group in Malaysia. We need to actually play with our, you know, competitive edge in terms of developing our own technology that is either works here perfectly and can be scaled over, or we need to actually position ourselves very strategically in order to grow further overseas. Yeah, that is basically my my view on that. And I hope Malaysia will have more participation in terms of sports technology involvement. Like if you are thinking about building products for your sports team and things like that, think big, because if your team can use it, other teams can use it too, and you can possibly sell it, you know, to overseas. So
Nice.
let's not become the user, like 100% user. We can also become the creators and even lead
Yeah.
the train in the different part of the world. Yeah.
Nice. Well, actually, when you were developing your app, Sheyong, it was developed 100% locally, or do you have to go, say, Singapore or Taiwan to build your app?
We develop locally, but of course the team itself, we have different background in the team. People bringing in different expertise, and like my CTO is actually he's in Singapore, so basically we have developer from Vietnam, different places as well. So, but
Interesting.
technology-wise, building is one thing, but heading towards which direction, what to build, there's another big questions or million-dollar questions. Yeah, so that's basically the core of building technology, for what purpose and what we wanted to change in the industry.
Keep on growing, man, Sheyong. Hopefully,
Thank you,
you
Richard.
and Genomas will be, and the other local apps, Malaysian apps, will continue to develop and grow. Look at Grab, they literally
Yeah, we
grab
hope to see more.
Yeah. Well, too bad they moved to Singapore. But we all know that they are made in Malaysia. That is
My
something to
taxi.
be proud of. Yeah. My taxi. I used to use my taxi last time. Now, at this stage, I want to thank many people who I've seen many people coming in and out on Facebook. I've seen some friends texting me, sending me pictures of us talking. Say, hey, Rick, well said. So there are people listening to us as speakers. There are people following our conversation here. So it's not just the four of us cakap kosong at the studio. Now, I'm going to come back to Jasni. We're going to ask the very important question. So we've heard people like Thuvendran going in detail. You hear his challenges that he's going through, and you can see that his aspiration, what Genomas want to aspire to be, not just in sports, but in medical, to assist our medicine. Thuvendran, very, very interesting. And you see how Sheyong talks about his global aspiration. They don't want to just be Jago Kampong. They want to grow around the world. And the app can actually be used around the world. If it's workable here, it can work anywhere. So, Jasni, people like the three of you, you are all stakeholders in sports in your own special way. What do you think as a stakeholder? And I'm going to ask Thuvendran and Sheyong later about this, but I want you to lead the discussion first, Jasni. What do you think a stakeholder in sports can do to assist, support, and further develop sports technology in Malaysia? All yours, Justin.
Thank you. I think I just want to firstly say what Mr. Thuvendran was doing is doing at Genomas is amazing. I do have some questions for him later on, if you don't mind, Richard.
So please do.
Yeah. So, but coming back to your part about what do the stakeholders do, what can the stakeholders do? I think if we were to pick up on my point earlier about where the competitive advantage that Malaysia should focus on in terms of natural resources and biodiversity, that's one. Number two, the aspect of the fact that what the environment is doing, what we have right now, presently in terms of I would say the framework. So we have Mosti doing the My STIE, which is commendable and great. We have ISN working on sports technology and the accelerator program, which is also great, and with Meranti and Futurize being a part of it. I think now what we need to do as fellow stakeholders is to get together. There has to be regular forums. Number one, webinars like this helps. Number two, we should do regular breakfast meetings with key stakeholders from, if you think about innovation, the chain of it, innovation, R&D, commercialization, scaling. We should have stakeholders from all these four aspects having regular meetups over the period of time that we get to know what's available out there. I pride myself in saying I love Sportstech. I love technology first, and I love Sportstech. But sometimes I surprise myself by coming across new apps that are Malaysian, which I never knew existed. They're already running. So I'm like, there's quite a lot of us out there doing things, and now going to the ISN launch the other day, hearing about Genomas, I'm like mind blown. I'm like, blah. Well, I'm sorry, can't swear. I'm like, amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's
so, I mean,
amazing.
yeah. So, but in a sense, we should get around that. And there are some other data in terms of background that I want to add that I have found over the years. Do you know that there are over 200 academicians working on tech, sports, and wellness in Malaysia? There have been 5,000 papers written along this triangular sport, technology, and wellness. I can't tell you how many of them are actually commercialable, how many of them are actually duplicated, but there are 5,000 papers.
Interesting.
And there are four Sportstech centers attached to universities in Malaysia. Yeah, UMP has one, UiTM has one, University Technology Malaysia has one, and University Tun Hussein. UMP is University Malaysia Pahang. And all four of them have got varying aspects that they focus on. Yeah. And there is this one book that's already been written that I found that YB On Kian Ming passed to me. And I didn't know about it, but I was surprised. This is one book written by 4 professors or academicians from University Malaysia Pahang who writes about using AI for archery. Yeah.
Serious?
And
yeah. AI for archery.
AI for archery, yes. So I'm like, oh, and I'm like, wow. So there's that kind of research. Okay, don't ask me about whether it's commercialable or not, yeah? But that's for another discussion. But I'm just saying, we're all fragmented out there. We're all doing our own thing out there.
Yeah. See, even Sheyong is nodding his head. Yeah.
Yeah. So we should get together regularly, and you know, that's how the magic happens. Yeah, that's how the magic happens. The other thing as well is this, in terms of stakeholders, what else we can do? I mean, if we were to learn, Sheyong made a very good point just now about the how the US is way, and Mr. Thuvendran mentioned as well about how the US is very advanced, especially they're led by the professional leagues. Yeah, they are the ones using it. In fact, they are the ones investing in tech as well. The NBA, the MLBs, the NFL, they have their own PE fund or VC fund that invest in these techs. Yeah, be it in the player performance, broadcasting, accumulating data about the match for coaching analysis and the likes. They are investing in it simply because not only to build up the aspect of the game in terms of performance, but also in terms of delivery of it in terms of broadcast. And also, once it is successful, they can then, that company itself can then cross-sell across the world, around the world in to other leagues and make money. So they're way in advance in terms of that. So the usage of our technology by our other stakeholders in sport is also key and important.
Interesting.
I guess the other part of it, I think, again, using our advantage is for our companies like Khazanah and PNB and the likes to invest into the future. What I mean is to invest, when I say invest into the future, is start looking for, knowing what we have in Malaysia, start looking for assets around the world where it can help bring these assets that we have, like Sheyong's Biib and all that, into that market. Yeah. If you understand what I mean.
To propel it into it, yeah, international line.
To propel it into the market, yes. Yeah. So let's again for sake of argument, take Robson Kanu's the turmeric company. So maybe Khazanah can invest into that company because it's already got a market, it's already got a brand name. Yeah. Bring whoever is in the biodiversity wellness side of things in Malaysia as one of the products to sell via that company. So again, that's an automatic fast track into of course I'm saying it it's easier said than done now, of course.
Just example, giving an example,
correct. There's regulatory approvals and all that you need. But what I'm saying is they've already got the network, they've already got the brand over there. So because I'm not invest in those companies and then bring our products there. Yeah.
Can be done.
And on the side, and on the side, maybe the Tumerico partners bid to do a virtual run in Europe. So it's that kind of arrangement whereby you engineer it, And I think picking up on what Mr. Thuvendran said very well just now about the industrialist, about the ball, I think it's a great point. But this is one of those things that it's basically engineered. That's what Mr. Thuvendran was trying to imply. It's engineered, and it's not a matter of here's a ball, go and sell it out there, right? So it has to be engineered in that sense.
Yeah. You wanted to ask a question to Thuvendran just now. You said, might as well you post a question now.
Yeah. Two questions. One question is when again, I don't know the science. When you talk about the genetic makeup and getting high performance athletes to perform better, is it like the F1 whereby you know F1 cars, whatever testing they do on the F1 cars, whether it's the brakes or the lubricants or whatever works at the F1 level, 2 years later you'll see it in upper cars on the road.
So you roll down to the car. Okay.
Correct. Simply because whatever works at that high performance level will work for the common car. So are you thinking of heading that way, whereby whatever works in terms of, let's say you say this particular food works at an elite level to produce energy or whatever, if it can work at elite athletes, you can then say to general public that you should eat this to get an extra percentage of energy. I'm just thinking off my head.
Interesting. So that's your
first question.
Second question?
Yeah. Second question, I'm sure you've heard of a company like Theranos. What happened with Theranos? Of course, they've got a different technology. They were caught in the US for faking their testing. So what they do is they take blood samples, and they can tell you whether you're going to be sick in whatever. I'm just being simplistic about it again because not understanding the science. But it turned out that they were faking their findings, and now after raising billions of US dollars, now the CEO and the founder is being charged in court. I think one of the challenges for Genomas, the question is this: one of the challenges for Genomas is the trust factor of whatever is being done in the back. Because of course, what you're doing is top secret. You don't want to let out the technology again. So people can't see that. People can't know it. So what would be, I think, your plans to overcome that? That's a positive question, by the way. It's not a negative question.
Yeah, understood.
Very good question, Jasni. Yeah. You can try that too, all yours?
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
On the first question, the first question is about how much of the data, how much of the testing that we use in a high performance level can be brought down to the base.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
So eventually roll down.
Okay. Basically, it has not been done on high performance athletes yet, genetic testing. It has only been done on academic level. We are going to be the first one to be doing it. That's number one. Secondly, when you want to do on high performance athletes, you need a group of specialized athletes who are really expert in that particular sports for you to get a template data. And that template data is the one you're going to populate. And based on the populated data is where you're going to get a reference point. Because when it goes to genome data analysis, it's on genome-wide genome-wide sequencing analysis. So basically, whatever that you actually created at the up level, you can basically apply to the whole population, given that your population demographics is the same. So right now, we're going to test a Malaysian population. Therefore, our data will be transferable to the grassroots. That is the main idea, for us to go into grassroots scouting in the future. But before you can do that, we have to first sample the upper tier. That's number one.
I see.
Yeah. Second, about supplements. Supplements, we do not identify which supplement can actually proffer benefits. No, we'll identify which supplements or which medication you're allergic to or you respond better to. You have different variation of tolerability based on your genetic makeup. Some can take a certain medicine. Some will be highly tolerable towards, for example, a certain steroid. So we'll be able to know that. So this one, we do not need, the template is already there, because genetic data are normally made known because gene markers under the Human Genome Project. So this one we'll be able to apply, and we'll be able to help better management of nutrition for athletes. So it comes under nutrigenomics, and as well as we'll be able to table them in integrated centralized genetic data, which is the main aim.
Okay.
And yeah, that's the first question.
The second one?
And the second question was?
Yeah. I can't remember now. We just I'm so
You
intrigued.
just had to give me the key point.
Yeah, just
No, the trust factor of the science. Yeah.
Okay. This is where I was talking about the limitation. How well can you verify the tests? So this is where we are actually coming in. Genomas, unlike any other private entity, we are coming in to enforce a policy paper that works along this tenet. Currently, a lot of foreign companies are able to actually work in Malaysia and provide services. Okay. And these services are not verified. Without impacting the free market scenario, we have to regulate this. That's number one. Second, how are we going to regulate this? Are we going to regulate these genetic testers providers? Or are we going to regulate labs? There are two ways. Because when it comes to genetic market, there are three parties. One is a technology maker. Second is the lab that provides the sequencing. And third, DTC companies that bring the technology to the people. So there are three main parties here. So where are we going to regulate them? For example, we might want to say that all genetic testing done on Malaysian population needs to be done on Malaysian-based lab. That lab need to undergo a certain SOP. Certain SOP that needs to be verified, need to be fulfilled for it
like
to be licensed.
Like certain ISO standard.
Yes, ISO standard. So for it to be verified, and whoever actually give the services to Malaysian population will have the emblem verified by a certain central body by Malaysia. All these central body, this licensing is all non-existent in the Malaysian ecosystem currently, but we are working towards it.
Interesting. Wow. You really know your stuff. I was just so intrigued. Your first answer, I'm listening like, wow, so deep. Okay. Thank you. Just a good question you posed there. So, ladies and
Thank you for the
gentlemen,
question.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, as we're coming closer and closer to the end of the topic, we've got some comments here. Thank you for your comments. My question to the three speakers is this: we've heard, in fact, Sheyong, you're going to say something about what the stakeholders can do. I'm coming to you, but my next question is that, other than what the stakeholders can do, what do you want the government to do? Because at the end of the day, the word regulation has popped up a few times. The word system has popped up a few times. So we mentioned a few times about ISN, the ministry, and all that. So Sheyong, two in one. One is that, what do you think the stakeholders can do? And then maybe you can go to the next one, so that two in one, the answer. What can the government and the system, maybe any tax relief we can get, maybe places like Magic. I heard Magic is going to be merged soon. So what Magic can do, ISN soon to be launched, sports incubator, what they can do. What would you say, Sheyong, other than stakeholders and that? All yours, Sheyong.
Thanks, Richard. Yeah, I think this is a very broad question, and definitely a lot of things can be done. And it's not a one person or one party effort to actually make this happen. So end of the day, of course, as a player in the industry, we actually wanted to see, like what Mr. Jasni said, more collaborations between different parties, people from different background, different part of the industry ingredients, to actually sit down and work together, even come up with something, a major plan or a roadmap down to, let's say, 10 years ahead. So I think that is something that we should really consider. But on the other side, for example, if you create a solution for athlete performance, definitely ISN can come in, like, hey, how do you provide your service to the target audience in the easy way? Perhaps like a test bed or like a sandbox for people to work on it. Because from what we have seen in North America or Europe, if any sports technology company come out with a product, the main thing they wanted to get is actually get to the pro sports club or federations where they can let their club or their participants or the members to use it and endorse that product. If let's say this is working for them, one endorsement can make a lot of difference. Because if this product is really good, it's working, that kind of collaboration is a win-win for both sides. The company helps the club to win the game or to improve their performance. At the same time, clubs actually get benefit, and they endorse back to the companies that provide their solutions or their products to actually help both sides to grow. There's there's nobody losing on that end, right? So that is one way to actually bridge the user, the consumers, and the service provider together. And that can be done in, of course, many ways. Like a forum like this, we can also
like what Jasni said,
synergy.
breakfast. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think this involved in both private and public partnership, because if let's say, Malaysia, our problem is we have the national sports team, but we have a missing layer of pro sports, and then all the way down to the grassroots level. The big missing part is actually the business part, which is giving us some hard time for the sports technology to go into the market, right? So without that piece, it's very hard, but there is a way to create. I'm seeing, Malaysia league is coming out. There are more grassroots movement and things that, people created for their own clubs and leagues. So I think that is happening, but of course we can't compare with what's happening out there at this moment, because their pro league are so systemized all the way from grassroots college level and then to the pro. So of course that part can be, not saying we skip the whole thing, but work together how we can bridge the gap. Because end of the day, only national team, it doesn't consume that much. If let's say you develop technology that can be used by so many people, if just Malaysian national team is using it,
Not
it's
enough.
a waste of it's not enough for commercialization, not enough for business, and we can't reach out to that business impact or the economic impact. So of course, I personally wanted to see more like collaborative way of allowing companies to test their products on athlete in different level. If your product is good enough, you can actually push out to the state level, to the private clubs, or even to the national level team to actually use it. So for the government side, yes. So because mass adoption is always the base for the market. If, for example, if you create a sports league, nobody buying ticket to watch, it's totally no point, right? Stadium is losing, nobody afford to pay the rent. The club is losing because nobody support them. At the end of the day, it's like I don't know, nobody is making money, nobody is getting benefit out of it. So I think for the government side, that is actually the key, is to grow the market, putting sports back into the people. Imagine, in my younger days, in the younger days, right? We have like Commonwealth Games, they're so hype about it. And if you participate in the opening ceremony, just sit there for 2 hours, it changed your whole life, how you look at sports, right? People from all over the world coming to Malaysia just to enjoy this big ceremony. But if let's say the kids stay in the school, not actually involve themselves in sports, even the PJ class, it's like turn into the replacement class, turn into academic classes. That doesn't help, because end of the day, we want people who love sports, who can pay ticket, who wanted to participate, and those generate the economy around the whole market.
I like that.
That's what I think government should do, focusing back into the mass, like how they can induce this spirit of sports or even sports culture back to the people. By having that, I would say not only us, a lot more people can benefit from it. All the way from the brands that are selling products, medical, insurance, even public health system like COVID. We can be much better prepared, like what Mr. Jasni said just now. Our minister in health is actually saying that how to prevent that instead of getting the vaccine and things like that.
But YB KJ has always been foresight. We know how KJ works. He's always very far foresight about it. So well said. I'm going to come to Jasni later because he's going to wrap it up. But Thuvendran, the same question. what I'm going to now is that I'm going to go around the floor on this question about what can the government do. Then I'm going to invite all of you to summarize your what you feel about this topic. Then we'll slowly then wind up to the end already, because it's almost lunchtime and I can hear our all four stomach growling already, so we have to go makan. So, but Thuvendran, before we let Justin wrap it up, what do you think the government can do to enhance sports technology?
Okay, Richard. I'll actually make it very brief, because both the panelists spoke very well about the topic, about the question. First, I would like to touch about expanding the market. Like what Sheyong said, that currently we are losing the touch for sports at the grassroots level. And it's no longer like 10 years back or 20 years back, in which we are always looking forward to sports. And last time when you actually go out for a drive, you'll be able to see kids playing on the field. Nowadays, you can rarely see them playing in the field. Mainly, okay, of course, one is memang panas, and second is because they are getting more academic oriented, and this is what being pushed into the mindset. We have to relax that a bit. We have to bring back sports into the minds in order for us to make the market alive. That's number one. Second is government will. What I mean by government's will is the ability to select projects that are, for example, specially commissioned under sports technology, and provide them with all the necessary assistance in terms of financials, regulatory assistance, and also networking to help them grow. Because one thing that we have to remember is that technology ideas, businesses get obsolete very quickly nowadays. So when they get obsolete very quickly, the help need to be tendered just as timely for you to help the business to exist. So that's where the government have to come into play. And third, as what Mr. Jasni said about universities. Universities, they have Sportstech labs under themselves associated. They're actually following the business line of, for example, Loughborough University. But there is a big difference between what being applied in Malaysia and also what being applied in UK, for example. In UK, this Sportstech lab that is associated to the universities directly contribute towards Great Britain team in Olympics, directly contribute towards producing technology for Nike, Adidas, and so on and so forth. But in Malaysia, that's not the case. There is a gap between the central body that provides the high performance services and also the university Sportstech labs. The reason why the gap exists is because one is what do you call that? History is the way things work, and second is because there is too much of emphasis on academic based research without any focus on the industry applicability. For you to have a focus on industry applicability, you need to increase the role of industries in the environment of universities. For that, I believe that ISN has already made a step forward by formulating papers in sports industries, coming up with policies on centralizing the education syllabus regarding sports tech, sports science, in which all have to go back to sports to ISN. So this is actually a very progressive work that will work towards bringing in all the intellectual inputs from the academics to see which is readily commercializable ideas and bring forward the sports tech. So this is what Sheyong was telling. The gap exists. The gap has to be closed. And I think these three aspects.
I think you covered it. Yeah, you covered it a lot. Yeah. So okay, nicely said. You know that basically what I can hear from you, Tuvan, is that the government's involvement is not just about top end sports, but also to deal with, like what Sheyong said, mass sports, triggering the sports activity, etc., etc. Nice. Okay, Jasni, you already gave a hint about what you think government can do. You mentioned about Khazanah and all that. But what do you think? What more can I don't know whether the word more is correct, but what can our government do to develop sports tech, and taking into account what you said earlier, the topic at 11 o'clock, that there are billions of US dollars involved in this industry. All yours, Jasni.
I think both the two gentlemen had hit the nail on the head. There's nothing more I can add, except on the just to touch on what Mr. Thuvendran said. Another aspect of the challenge of the technology or the science or the R&D that comes from the university coming online in terms of commercial aspect is the intellectual property ownership. I think in a number of cases there is and this is natural, yeah. There's a fight or the challenge between the professor himself, the university, and the potential company wanting to take on the commercialization of the idea or the technology. So that is also a main pain point, which eventually then disrupts or slows down the process from going from innovation, R&D, commercialization to scaling up. That's one of the biggest challenges as well that must be addressed. I don't know what the answer is, to be honest. I think it has to be a case of everyone has to sit in the same room and then decide a way forward. Because it will slow things down. Yeah. It will make lawyers make money.
Don't say so loud.
There'll be a lot of cases going on, but it slows things down.
Just on this point, right? Yesterday, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I want you to come back to your point. But 2 days ago, the Sports Law Association of Malaysia, together with Iskandar Development, they had a sports conference, and one of the topic was about sports technology and IP. They were addressing IP. Very interesting discussion there. So you're right. It's spot on. It is a big problem. Yeah. Anyway, go on. Next point.
That actually hinders the next stage, which is commercialization, in a big way, because in the end it gets caught. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I like to. I mean, if you don't mind, Richard, and I think on the stakeholder side is covered. I like to just touch upon, since it's the last point, is what is the future for Malaysia? I think what should we focus on?
I think
nice. I mean, bearing in mind the issues and challenges and the fact that we don't have a professional sports league and all that, I think that's all covered. But generally speaking, I think there is a big rise in community involvement. I think what Mr. Sheyong was saying about the people taking sport back, it is happening right now at the community level through the community leagues in various aspects. And what Biib is doing as well is amazing. Yeah, is basically we can't wait. We have to do it ourselves. Yeah. So in the future, whatever Sportstech that covers community leagues, community content, community-driven aspects is the way to go. Number 2, on-demand coaching, coaching athlete analytics. That's the second one, or the third one, I would say. And then collectible NFTs, the OTT, as well as the health and fitness AI, which is where the aspect where Genomas is, I believe. Yeah. And then one thing to bear in mind for those who wants to go into Sportstech, I think there are 3 key areas that you have to bear in mind. Number 1 is whatever you introduce has to cut steps, not add steps. Number 2, it has to have actionable feedback. Yeah. It has to have actionable feedback. Whatever you're introducing to the market must have actionable feedback to people that they can use to improve their lives, to whatever. Number 3, of course, data is the new oil, as they say. So whatever you want to use with that data, it has some relevance to point number 2, but the data part is relevant. How you collect it, how you analyze it, what comes out of it. So these are the 3 aspects.
Well said. This is like a thesis, man, for development of Sportstech in Malaysia in the future. Whoever want to know about Sportstech should just watch this video, get all kinds of layers of discussion. Well said, Justin. I love it. Actually, you know what I'm going to do later in the evening? I'm going to, after my lunch, I'm going to watch this video again to take down notes, So because I think the 3 of you have shared many things I really want to expand on. Now, so thanks for the summary, Jasmine. So on that point, Sheyong, anything you want to summarize for the topic before we wind down the day for lunch?
Sure. Just a quick one, yeah. I think sports is for everybody. It's not just government effort, not just the private sector effort and things like that. It's basically from the bottom to the top or even from the top to the bottom. A lot of involvement from different parties, and the network effect or the chain effect is actually very high. So I would say to make this work, whoever in the sports or related to sports should be part of the discussion for how to move forward. At the end of the day, if anyone is creating sports technology or sports innovation, like what Mr. Jasni just said, it should be creating value, added value, and feedback into that. Like, you providing this, what is the return of doing this? So not just there are this bad culture here in the ecosystem whereby somebody say, hey, somebody developed this product, it's good, people adopt it. Then another guy will come in doing the same thing. That is something like opening up petrol stations along the highway. One petrol station works, and then more people coming in. I think that doesn't work in sports tech, because sports tech is always like adding value into that, removing steps, like what Mr. Jasni said. We need to actually push the limit, creating more values, and that will basically creating this competitive landscape to push everything forward, rather than we split the pie even smaller and causing the whole industry to, let's say, fall off. Yeah, that's basically what I want to say. Thanks.
Next. Thanks. Sheyong, before I go to Thuven, I'm going to suggest that we form a Sports Technology and Innovation Malaysia, STEAM, STIM network. Yeah, STEAM, yeah. I'm sure there's some association out there, so you can join the association. But I think the three of you should start a network called STEAM, Sports Technology and Investment Malaysia, STEAM network. I was just thinking about it. STIM, STEAM network. Let me know if you want me to join as a mascot. I don't mind. Yeah. So.
But then can have a monthly breakfast and things like that.
Yeah, can do monthly breakfast. Yeah, we can have we can invite Thuvendran to have roti canai from Ipoh, but through Zoom, no problem. Yeah. So Thuvendran, how do you want to summarize it before I give my summary? All yours, Thuvendran.
Okay, sure. Okay, when it comes to pushing sports tech into Malaysia and making sure it sees positive growth, expectations need to be managed between the stakeholders. So when it comes to IP, or even when it comes to giving added values, expectations need to be managed between the technology owners, the business provider, the government. Keeping aside national aspirations, for example, you want the community wellness and all. But at the end of the day, we have to also give focus on the business profitability of sports technology as well. We cannot take that away. If you take the business profitability aspect away, then there is no reason, there is no catalyst, there is no incentive for any business to thrive in the area of sport technology. So this is what I mean by managing the expectations. So in the case of sports tech, it has come more into knowledge-oriented, where we want to give it more inputs that can benefit people. It is a constructive industry. So when it is so constructive, we should be able to capitalize on this benefit and should move forward. And we should come up with a framework that benefits all the parties. Even when it comes to intellectual property, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. Even among the technology makers, you have a different portion of the technology in which the IP will go to.
Yeah, patents and all that.
Okay. Yeah. So that is one side. And then you talk about the profits where investor come inside. So all these has to be supported well by market analysis, like where Mr. Jasni is sitting, as well as community reach is where Mr. Sheyong is sitting, and as well as how much the government will be able to push, help, and how much the business will be able to push itself. What is the profit capitalization in the future? So profit keeping aside, national aspiration keeping aside, all this can be balanced. We are going in a positive growth.
Well said. Thank you. Obviously, the three speakers came to this event very prepared, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen. At this point, I would like to invite everybody to give the three speakers a cyber round of applause. So I think just to share some background with you, the making of this webinar, we had lots of discussion in our chat group, and we even had a warm-up session a few days ago. Jasni and I even have a private discussion after that because he couldn't make it for the warm-up session. and the speakers were very enthusiastic and they really wanted to share their thoughts on this point. So thank you to all three speakers. Thank you, Jasni. Thank you, Tuvan. Thank you, Biib, Sheyong. You could have been anywhere in the morning, but you choose to join me to chit chat here. So terima kasih. RWC is very proud to have our speakers here. Maybe the three of you want to say anything goodbye before I wrap it up. Jasni, any goodbyes you want to say?
Okay, thank you very much, Richard and RWC, for arranging this. Always have major respect for what you're doing over there on the sports legal side, and also to the fellow panelist, Mr. Sheyong, major respect as well what you're doing, and I've already almost sworn when I talked about Genomas just now. So another hats off to Mr. Thuvendran and what you guys are doing there. So very, very privileged to be with you guys today, and of course anybody watching today and in the future.
Thanks, Jasni. Tuvan, anything you want to say to wrap up?
I just want to say my heartfelt thanks for bringing us together here for this very wonderful talk, productive, quite privileged to be part of it. And Sheyong, all the best with your ventures. Really impressed with your business model. You'll do very well. And Mr. Jasni, thank you very much for your insights. Well taken. And hopefully we can come up with we can meet up in a Steam.
Yeah, we can meet up
meetings.
with Steam. Yeah, we can meet up with Steam meetings soon. Yeah. Sheyong, anything you want to say? Your wrap up?
Yeah, I'm honored to be in this discussion group. Thank you, Mr. Jasni, Richard, and Thuvendran. I mean, instead of speaking, I'm also taking notes. Learning new things when you are speaking. So really, really great to be in these sessions. Thank you.
I also want to, I want to watch the video again later to take notes. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. We have three really outstanding speakers. I'm not trying to patronize them, but you can hear the facts speaks for themselves. They know the stuff, and they didn't come here to tembak. They came here to talk about facts. For now, RWC will be taking a break for the next 1 month. December we'll be slowing down, and then we'll come back in January. We will be holding some talks on property conveyancing and corporate forums, part of our community webinar. We try to educate the public by sharing information and sharing whatever knowledge with people, so that hopefully, like for today, anybody who hear here will be inspired. They will have some new ideas. They will get some perspective, and hopefully in a few months' time, we'll have another Biib, another Genomas, and we can see Sportswork stepping in to develop and promote our products even better. So what better way than to build Malaysia, buy Malaysia for Malaysia, right? So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. If I don't meet you anymore, Merry Christmas to all of you. I know it's 1 month away, but have a good Christmas. Thank you, Tuvan in Ipoh. Thank you, Sheyong. I think you are in PJ. And of course, Jasni, I know you are in Klang Valley. Thank you to all of you. Take care of yourself. I'm going to end the broadcast, but the speakers, please stay in the studio. We'll take some photographs after this. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you. Adios, amigos.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Terima kasih. Terima kasih. Thank you. Thank you.